but I'm going to show you how to make 25K the easy way dealing with FSBOs on Zillow. And I'm going to give you a 4-step process, and it's really simple. And I'm going to be honest with you. Most gurus who teach this, they just create a huge time wasting skill for you. Wholesaling in Zillow, especially the FSBOs, there is a certain type of Zillow listing you're looking for. You cannot just do generic ones, or you're going to have to go through tens of thousands of leads just to get one shot. If you watch today's live, I will cut it down to 4 simple steps. And my focus is solely on trying to find wholesale deals. You see, anybody can find a property for sale, but finding a wholesale deal within a FSBO, within Zillow, is going to require a skill set, and you need to know what to look for. Honestly, I've looked all over the internet, and everyone just starts randomly calling. And honestly, most gurus are going to focus on like calling agents. And I'll tell you, that is your number one waste of time. Agents are there to defend their sellers and to vet you, and you are going to have a miserable fail rate. So without further ado, let's get into it. Is Zillow leads, what type of wholesaler are they for? To be honest with you, I don't use this technique. Now, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, guys. And if you understand that, you'll understand why I don't. It's not that I'm beneath it. And honestly, I did FSBOs on Craigslist for a long time. But the reality is, everybody's got to start somewhere. So I'm going to start out with a brutal truth that most people won't tell you on this, and it is the absolute truth. So what type of leads are these for? Mostly, I'm just going to hit you in the mouth with the truth here. You ready? It's for a broke wholesaler. Now, I'm just being brutally honest with you because I want you to think about it. If you actually had money, you had the skill set, you had the experience, you can step up in leads. The honest truth is Zillow FSBOs are the bottom of the barrel. It doesn't mean they're bad for you though. I have watched thousands and thousands of people on Flip with Rick on my channel here learn how to actually go into Zillow and find leads. And what I want to do today is give you the exact criteria so you don't waste your time calling sellers that have a ridiculous wish list with an agent. Honestly, that makes really good like content, but it will never help you out. Honestly, you're literally wasting your time. Think about this. Who puts their house on Zillow on a FSBO? They don't want to pay a realtor agent. They're usually very unrealistic on their price, and they're a know-it-all. Huge egos for the most part. The reality is, do you want to deal with thousands of people just like that? I'm going to show you how to filter through them, because if you attack it from that, you're just going to get frustrated and you're most likely going to quit wholesaling. Now, I've already told you it's not my favorite lead strategy, but if I'm broke, it's my new favorite. Think about this. If I'm broke, I have no money to do skip tracing. I can't pull leads. I can't do list services. Like, what are you going to do? You go to Zillow, right? It sounds perfect on paper, and it is, but you've got to look for the right leads. So think about this. You get the seller's name, you get their phone number, you get property pics, and you get the entire property history from the day they listed it to what Zillow gives you a zestimate on it. And honestly, it actually sounds completely perfect. If you think about it, listen, if I'm broke, I can't do skip tracing. I can't get lead services. I'm going to go crazy with driving for dollars. I'm going to use free skip traces, and I'm going to use any type of FSBO I can get a hold on. And it's not just limited to Zillow. You can go to Redfin. You can go to a million different sites online to figure this out. But the most important, you have to filter this criteria, because when you see 10,000 listings in an area for Zillow, very few of them are the ones you actually want to call. And honestly, why waste your time with it? You got to understand, the information is not free. The hustle is not. The information, sorry about that. The information is for free. The hustle is not. So if you have a strong work ethic, you have a desire, and your conviction is through the roof to be an amazing wholesaler. Maybe you're young, maybe you're starting over. Hell, we all got to start somewhere. And there is no shame in starting with Zillow FSBOs. Honestly, the data is awesome. Now, it's going to require more work, which means you are going to require more hustle in doing this. You have to understand this part of it. If you understand that, then this is a very, very doable way to get wholesale deals. But most people do it completely backwards. So the first thing we're going to have to do, guys, I want you to think about this, is you've got to find the market you want to pick. Now, if you're in your local market and you're doing it, then you can skip this section. But the reality is most of you are doing Zillow FSBOs, and you want to pick the most ideal market you can work in. And how do you find the most ideal market? And that is crucial. Now, most of you are just guessing, or you watch somebody's YouTube video, and I'm here to tell you, don't do that. You cannot guess. You have the freedom to go anywhere you want in the United States. Make it count. Absolutely make it count. So here's the first thing I would do if I am brand new to wholesaling and I want to call on Zillow, FSBOs, pick the best market for you. Now, you can do research online. You can join investor groups, and you can collect data and see where people point you to. But here is one thing you got to understand. You have to verify the data. Wholesalers brag, they let their ego get in the way, and they go all over the internet. Just because they did one deal in one market doesn't make it a great market. Now, if they did 5 or 6 and you can find 2 or 3 other wholesalers doing it, that's a strong indication it might work, and that's a great place to start. So I want you to start by reverse engineering other wholesalers that are having success. And for God's sakes, do not take their word for it on the internet. 90% of the people are completely lying. Take that data and reverse engineer it. You can look up, get on their cash buyers list. You can see if they have a property for sale list. Most of them do it way illegally. They're trying to be real estate agents. You should never do it that way. Get the zip codes where they're having success with, and look at the average price that they're listing these properties for, and you can reverse engineer it. So once you have that data and you do that, or you can do it this other way, is you want to locate the market median price you desire in that area. So if you're randomly picking, if you have an intuition, say it's somewhere in Tennessee, say it's somewhere in West Virginia, that's fine. Go up there, and I want you to look up the average I want you to look up that average market's price. Why? Because there is a certain number in wholesaling where your success goes way backwards. And I want you to start and understand, what is the United States average price? That's all you have to understand. Start with a number that you can grasp. So if the average in the United States, it's roughly 410, take or give $5,000 either way, but it was 410, 413. It keeps trending. It's only been trending up. Now, if you guys track this number in the last 3 or 4 years, it's absolutely insane where it's gone from. But that is the minimum. That is the number on average. Now, keep in mind that takes in the high markets and it takes in the low markets. And the reality is you have to be well below this number, in my opinion. Okay. Once you get to a certain number, we all know when you get close to $1 million, everybody wants a broker and an agent, and they will never even acknowledge a wholesaler because they're just too smart for their own britches. And for the most part, I think they're wrong about that, but it is what it is. Don't waste your time going in the big numbers. Now, ideally, I would look at like 250. Okay. That's, if we get rid of the really high markets, the San Fran, the Manhattans, the Miami, stuff like that, it should push the number down 250. 250 is not a rule, but it's where I've had a ton of success. I would like to have a 2 number in front of it or an extreme low 3. If you follow those rules and find a population, ideally 100K. If it's 75 to 80, it's not the end of the world. If you're 50 or below, you're going to struggle terribly in it. So you guys have already watched me do a virtual market wholesaling videos. I'm not kind of teaching the whole thing here because it'd take too much time. We want to focus on Zillow. So once you do that, you've established your market. It meets the basic credentials I just explained. Then once again, you can verify it with other wholesalers, get on Facebook groups with investors. Usually it's just the city and then investor groups, and look them up. They're a dime a dozen. They're absolutely everywhere. Look for active groups that have members of like 5,000 or more. Don't do these 100 or 200. They're a waste of time. And then once you do all that and you go, hey, Rick, I'm going full forward. I'm going for the Zillow FSBOs in that market. That's awesome. Now, I want you to understand this. Before you do this, before you put in all of this work in Zillow's, and nobody else ever really talks about this, the first thing you have to do, step 1, once you meet the criteria, because we're just starting now, okay? You have to find your cash buyer. Because if you get a great deal and you've got to close it quickly, and you haven't taken the step to even locate cash buyers or find out what cash buyers want or what they want to pay, you are in jeopardy of losing your first Zillow FSBO lead. It's the truth, guys. This is one of the biggest complaints I get on my show here is like, Rick, I got a great deal. Can you find me a cash buyer? I'm not a miracle worker, guys. And honestly, if you don't have a 30-day inspection period or at least a 30-day close, it is a challenge because some good deals take 10 to 15 days to get done. How can people do that? Here's the secret. They go find legitimate cash buyers, they vet them, and they make sure they're quality cash buyers. And guys, you only need 4 or 5 in an area. These wholesalers that tell you they got 5,500 cash buyers, it means they've got thousands of other wholesalers trying to poach their list. So I'd rather you have 5+ quality cash buyers in the virtual market you're going to go. Why? Because it's going to give you more confidence that you're buying in the right area, that you're at the right price points, and you are finding demand for your customer. You see, your cash buyer is your customer. Your product is your seller. And if you don't identify what your customer needs, like any other business, you are going to be SOL. I promise you on this one. Guys, I used to jump into virtual markets before it was even a thing. And I learned this lesson the hard way. If you do not know what your cash buyers want, this business is brutal. And I'm telling you. So please don't skip this step because it is crucial for your success when dealing with Zillow FSBO leads. So guys, if you have questions, put them in. I promise you when I finish this up, I'll get going. So how do we find cash buyers? Just go through the basic list here because remember, this is a crucial part in getting your Zillow FSBO leads. And I promise you the best part's coming up. Call your for rents. You can find them online. It's very easy. You can find them in Facebook groups, Craigslist. It doesn't matter. The second one is pull your cash buyers list. If you have a list service like listrei.com, it's very simple to pull this data. You just use the filters and you can narrow it down. And the tighter you have the data, it's got to be 6 months or less. 1 year ago, these cash buyers come and go like the wind. So I wouldn't rely on stuff like a year or older. Now, if for those of you that don't have paid lists, and we're talking about free in the hustle, is I teach a technique. You can go over to freewholesaling.com and I teach you how to do a list source hack where you can find out where the cash buyers are and you can actually narrow it down to the zip code. I actually did a 1-hour presentation on this. I'm not here to talk about this, but it's free. So you don't have listrei.com. I don't care. I get it. Most of you are just getting started out. So if you use the list source hack, you can actually find the cash buyers in the areas you're looking for, your virtual markets, and you don't have to buy the list. Now, it's not going to give you their information, but it's going to tell you where the best cash buyer markets are. So I would start kind of with there. It really works. Now, another free way is just find your real estate agent cash buyers agents in the market you're looking for. They should be all over the internet. If not, you can find a local real estate agent that will pull this information. They represent cash buyers, and honestly, they're my absolute favorite. You know why? They pay top dollar, they close quickly, and the real estate agent looks at the property, so their buyer could be anywhere. And I love them because they just want to get paid a commission, and 9 times out of 10, you just pay them their full price. Why? Because they typically overpay for the properties because they feel like it's an easy deal. Now, I'm only looking for real estate agents that understand that working with someone like me as a wholesaler, it's going to be an assignment of contract. If they don't understand this, don't use them. It'll be an absolute nightmare. I'm just going to forewarn you. But this is the only time I really like to use agents. They represent cash buyers, and most of them are struggling to find good deals, especially wholesale deals. When they find them, they could be one of your buyers for life. These are quality agents. Don't go around them because they will pay you more than what. If you go, well, crap, I got to pay them 3 to 6%. Honestly, they pay 10 to 15% higher than your average cash buyer. And that's why I really like to do them. Now, let's get to the meat of this because this is really what you're watching me for at this point. How to pull Zillow leads for wholesaling. And I want to emphasize the word wholesaling. Anybody can pull Zillow FSBO leads and they just sound like a rock star on the internet. Now, you guys know, if you ever watch my son, he loves doing this. And the beautiful part of it is he makes it completely random. He's not calling his grandma. He's not calling his buddy, the real estate agent. He doesn't have the ability to even set people up. He just calls sellers directly. And here's the key part, guys. You ready for this? Here's the big secret. And I don't understand why nobody else talks about this. I see so many coaches and teachers and listen, I'm all about educating people and I love it. Anyone who gets you excited about real estate, as long as they're not hurting you and they're giving you a viable service, I'm all for it. But here's what you've got to understand. You do not call new listings with real estate agents. You're literally wasting your time. We talk about this all the time. The conflict between realtor and wholesalers, like the Hatfields and McCoys. Why? Because you're literally wasting your time. They don't want to talk to you. I'm sorry. It is the damn truth. And I'm so sick of people teaching this technique. Talking to agents on a brand new listing on a Zillow. And yes, some FSBOs are for sale by owner, but somehow some of them, you guys mix them up with agents. So to prevent this, I'm not even going to do the screenshot. You guys are smart enough to figure this out. When you're pulling up your leads, make sure it's for sale by owner, no agent. And a lot of your deals, if you don't filter that out, even your FSBOs will have agents. And you know what? Any wholesaler can sit there and talk to an agent. Why? An agent's job is to talk to cash buyers or regular buyers. But the reality is they don't want you. They want full price or overprice. They want their full commissions, and they're going to vet the crap out of you. And let's be honest with you. If you're starting out broke, you're going to struggle with the proof of funds. By the way, you get your proof of funds from your cash buyers, and they are going to snuff you out before you even get started. Honestly, even if they have a great deal, you probably have a 0% success at getting it because you don't know how to talk to them. You don't know how to get around the vetting. I don't want you to get around the vetting. You're not supposed to get around the vetting, and you're talking to the wrong people. They are looking for the maximum price with the least amount of resistance from a buyer, and you are the complete opposite. So how do we avoid that? Please filter out and make sure you don't put any agents on these leads. It's literally a waste of time. I don't know why everybody calls. Anybody can call a real estate agent and list it on like YouTube. It's a very entertaining call, but the deals, it's like a 99% failure ratio. And especially as a newbie, because you don't know how to talk to agents. And the minute they find out you're even a hint of a wholesaler, there's assignment, they're going to run. They're not going to let you assign it. And until you proof up all the cash you can pay for it, they're never going to even entertain your contract. So what I want you to understand this right now, you are direct to sellers, no agents. If you skip this rule, you're literally wasting your time. You understand that calling agents on Zillow is, in my opinion, as a wholesaler, especially as a new wholesaler, is a huge waste of time. Now, if you have an acquisitions person that's highly skilled and they're bored out of their mind, knock yourself out. But the reality is most of you watching this is you're doing it yourself. And if you've started recently in the last 90 days, if you use this tactic, if you start to call agents directly, you're going to be busy, and busy means broke. You're wasting your time, guys. Honestly, I had 20 years. I won't even waste my time doing it because all it is content. Very honestly, if you see all these posting by the coaches and stuff, these deals never go through. They're just entertaining talks, and anyone can do that. You can talk to your trim blue. You might as well talk to someone that you can make money with. So direct to seller, no agents. That is part of pulling the lead. So now that we know that, step 2, 100-day plus old listings. Why on earth, even a FSBO or an agent, if it goes on the market within the first 7 days or the first 30 days, are they going to entertain a low ball off? Think about why they put it on there. I can save the real estate agent. I can put it in my pocket, and this will be a no-brainer. Honestly, FSBOs, they're difficult people. In a way, agents are actually easier because they're unrealistic. Why do I want 100 days? I'm not guessing on this number. It's already proven data. I used to use 90 days. Actually, I used to use 75 days, push it to 90, push it to 100. In the perfect world, I'd push it to 120. But what happens after 100 days? All of a sudden, the market has spoken to them. And when the market is brutal to them, people go, you're way overpriced. You're crazy. Your house is junk. And they beat them up. They get hundreds of calls like this. And after a while, it gets very defeating. You want this. This is where the opportunity for a wholesale deal is. Listen, if you just want to get $3,000 off on a deal, call an agent, knock yourself out because they're typically overpriced by 10 to 15%. But the real opportunity is here. These properties have to sit in the market and they have to stink it up. And the market is brutal. People are nasty. They are not nice. And they will just tell them your house is ugly. You're overpriced. You're absolutely crazy. And after a while, the sellers start to believe this. And only when they get that data can you even explore entertaining what we call a lowball offer. Do you understand that? Why on earth, if somebody puts a property on the market for 200 grand in day one, why on earth are they going to even entertain your $100,000 offer? They're not. They have to be schooled by the market. And without this criteria right here, you're literally wasting your time. Now, I'm talking about wholesaling. If you want to go learn from another coach or a mentor and you just want to buy properties or you want to do something creative, knock yourself off. I'm not teaching here. I'm giving you the truth. The truth is they got to be 100 days. Why? Because it starts to stink up and they start to get a little bit desperate and they will now talk and entertain your offer. In the beginning, they're pretty nasty to you. Like you guys know it. Put it in the comments here. Have you ever called a brand new listing on a FSBO in Zillow, Redfin, whatever it is? They are brutal. They think they have gold and they think they're going to get over their ask price. And the reality is these things, I've seen listings for 2 years on the market. It's absolutely nuts when people do it. Now, that's So no agents, right? 100 plus days. You're ready for the final rule for your criteria. Guys, if you follow these 3 rules to pull the leads, you'll have a lot more success. You're still going to be busting your ass and you're still going to use your hustle muscle. But without that, you're going to look at like 10,000 plus leads to do. If I can narrow it down to like 500 or 1,000 leads, I've done my service to you today. So let's do this. Ready? The other one is you have to multiple price reductions. I didn't say one. I said multiple. That means 2 or more. Why? Because that shows that they really kind of want to let go of the property. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. What a seller lists the property for on any type of FSBO site, whether it be Zillow, Trilio, or Craigslist, you got to understand, like that's just 9 times out of 10 is their wish price. So once they start dropping, it usually means they want to sell the property. If they never drop it, you're usually wasting your time. Because if it's on the market for 3 months and they don't do one reduction, it might take a year. So 100 days plus, multiple reductions. Guys, this is the path. Because think about this. When they start reducing it, they're like, please come to me. I need help. Now, don't be fooled when they overlist it. So say a property's worth 100 grand and they put it at 150 and they put it to 145, 140. Don't be an idiot. Like just because they list it for it doesn't even mean the value is there. So use Zillow. If you're going into Zillow specific, there'll be a Zestimate. If this estimate's 100 and they got listed for 250, I might just even skip that lead and wait for it to be 6 months old. So you do have to do a little bit of underwriting, but the most important is getting the 3 criteria so you don't waste your time looking for regular deals on Zillow. No agent, 100 plus days, 2 or more reductions. If you follow that formula, honestly, and this is kind of the meat of this, and I got plenty more to go on, is you don't waste your time. Guys, you can call, I'd rather you just pull some random list or pull a vacant list or a high equity list and call on that. And I know you got to manually skip trace it if you're broke. So do me a favor, at least increase your odds in doing this. So now you know the criteria. Now you know where to look for them. Now you know the 3-step criteria. So let's move on. How do we call a Zillow lead? And this is simple. And if you follow my plan, you'll get straight to the point and you'll figure out how to do this. Now, you know, I'm not a big complicated script person and my son's not either. We believe in kind of getting to the point and filtering through people and getting understanding. Because the hardest part about cold calling is filtering. I don't need you to have a 30-minute conversation with every FSBO. The reality is you're looking for opportunity for a wholesale deal. If you're just looking for a slight discount, go learn from somebody else because I'm here to teach you wholesaling. Wholesaling, we're looking for deep discounts. And the only way you're ever going to get deep discount is through motivation. So the first thing we have to do is we have to filter. So when you call on the phone number, as screwed up as this sounds, sometimes they don't answer the phone. Sometimes when they don't answer the phone, they've literally given up on their listing, which really makes me excited, by the way. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, are you the owner of 123 USA Street? Why? Because sometimes you might be talking to the sister, the brother, the cousin, the uncle. Don't waste your time, guys. Most of you are calling on a single line dialer, meaning your regular phone, or in your Google Voice or your virtual phone number, which is what you should use. You don't have time to spend 20 minutes with a person who's not even the owner of the property. So make sure you verify that first. And I do these questions by order of importance. Next one, ready? So I want you to understand my script here, or my sequential order, because I make it simple, is it's all about setting it up. So if you've set up the criteria and you followed the 3 criteria rule for wholesaling deals on Zillow FSBOs, every other question after this is a setup question. Are you the owner? At this point, you should get their name down. Get it down right and say, hey, Patty, great to talk to you, whoever it is. Now, my next question is your property still for sale? I know this is a stupid question, but you got to understand we are setting it up. Why? Because I already know what's going on with this property. And I am setting up the ultimate question because I have to find pain to find a great deal. Now, 95% of the time, of course, the property's still for sale because they overlisted it or they didn't understand the value of the property. And I already know you know the answer to the question. They already know the answer to the question. And it kind of like, yeah, we are reminding them that your property is still on the market for 100 days and you've had multiple reductions and no one's made you an offer. That's kind of basically what I'm saying. Now, my 2-step double whammy approach on this script. You ready for this? Is your property still for sale? You go, yeah. Here's what they do. Yes, it is. The next one, you ready? Have the pics been updated from 120 days ago. Now it could be 100 days. I put 120 for like, if it's been on there 120 days ago. Are the pics updated from 120 days ago or 100 days ago when it was listed? We are letting the sellers know that you know. I know that sounds crazy, but like, think about this. If say you got a property that's been on the market 120 days, and trust me, they are all over Zillow, FSBOs. It's kind of like, it's basically, this is how you're letting them know. So your property's been sitting 3 or 4 months with no activity. Has the property even gotten worse? And basically you're reminding them, I know your property's been sitting. Now, most people don't ask this question, but remember, now we're doing a setup question. Now, once they know that, is the property still for sale? Are the pics still accurate from 120 days ago? Now they know that you know that this is a really stale listing. So a stale listing is any listing that's 30 or 45 days old, depending on which market you're in. And we're just kind of telling them, like, we know what we're doing. Like, do you know what you're doing? Because do you want to sell this property or not? Because based on the information, either they don't know how to price it, or they don't know how to sell it, or they have like an extreme wish list. Now, we're cutting out the extreme wish list people because we're looking for price reductions. But occasionally you do have to filter out a person that if the property's worth 100 and they have it listed for 250, I'm not even going to waste my time on that person. And how do I do that? I just look at the Zillow's estimate. It's that easy, especially if you're brand new. So don't overthink it, guys. Now, the next part I'm going to left, after I do that, they're going to you're going to knock their ego way down. And this is the part they go, hey, who are you? What are you looking to do? You're not a wholesaler. You're just a cash buyer looking to buy the property. And this is where you go to MCTP. If you don't know what MCTP is, do me a favor, go over to freewholesaling.com. I go into grave detail on this, but you're going to talk about their motivation, condition, time frame, and pricing on the property. And if you go to freewholesaling.com, we teach you how to do that in depth. It's easy to do. And this is where you qualify the property and you try to dig the pain out of the property. I promise you there's a reason that property's not selling. Your job is to connect with them, show them empathy, and most importantly, get the truth of why this is going on. And the only way you're going to get the truth is you have to connect with them. You have to be agreeable. I know things are tough right now, blah, blah, blah. And you have to get to the truth. The sooner you get to the truth, the sooner you can figure out if you're going to cut a deal and you don't waste time. And this is where most people, most coaches, most mentors on the internet, they sit there and they record these videos. And it sounds like just a perfect relationship. Unfortunately, 90% with agents, you have to connect directly to the seller. And if you do, they'll be open to doing that. Now, I will tell you this. Once you do that, here is the gotcha question. So we said, hey, is your property for sale? Are the pictures updated from 120 days? We let them know it's been on the market 4 months. We let them know we're an interested cash buyer. And then here's where the next thing is, why hasn't the property sold? Shut your mouth. It is a hard question to ask. And usually I get a long pause at this point. That pause is you listening to the nonverbal communication skills is if there's motivation there. Now, they either have a choice. They can go one way or the other. They can either lie through their ears and keep listing the property forever, or they can decide to give you the truth. The reality is they're probably going to give you right down the middle. And honestly, if you keep them moving, your job's to move them from here, where they've been for the last 120 days, and move them to the truth. And they'll usually start right about here. And if you build an amazing conversation relationship, you can close that gap and get to the truth. My best wholesaling deals from any type of FSBO takes time to move that truth. Very rarely do I ever close a FSBO deal in one phone call. Honestly, you got to be really good because they don't know you. How many would you guys sell one of your biggest assets to a stranger over the phone you've never met with? How do you get around that? You build rapport and you build an amazing conversation. I teach you all how to do that at freewholesaling.com. Now, once you get the information and hopefully you can move that true scale over, I want you to gather up all the data. I don't want you to make an offer right there. It's the worst thing you can do because you sound rushed. It's already been on the market 4 months. Why would you spit an offer out right away? Gather the data, say, I got to do a little research. Let me check with my partner and see what kind of offer, even if I can make it on this property. That's it. Why? Because I want to see if I can get a reach from them. Now, if they go, no, please put an offer, might be a different story. But I still want you to resist the urge, gather the information, and I want you to wait at least 24 hours, ideally 48 hours. Guys, it's already been on the market 3 or 4 months. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Remember, you Whoever chases the most wins in wholesaling. You need to them to reach out to you a little bit. And don't be surprised after 3 or 4 days, they call you back. And by the way, if they call you back, that is a great sign of motivation. But guys, it's not going anywhere. It's been there 3 or 4 months. Don't overchase because you give them the false expectation that you really desperately need that property. And the reality is you need basically what we want to ask when we go back and make our offer. What do you need to get rid of this property? I love using words like that. It's really valuable. Now, here's the problem with any type of FSBO special on Zillow. If I asked any seller, hey, Mr. Seller, what do you need to get rid of this property? They are trained like dogs, right? Like, no. You called me, tell me what your offer is. Now, you know how I teach you the volley method. It doesn't really work well on FSBOs, period. Now, if you're in person, whole different story, but most of this is going to be done virtually. Here's how we do it. All you do is take what their list price is and make sure it's a real list price. If it is double over what the market is, this doesn't work. All you're going to do is make an offer. This is where you're going to hit them with a lowball offer because we need to see what their bottom line number is. The max you offer is 70% of the list price. Honestly, I prefer you do it at 60. Why? Because I want to find out what their bottom line number is. This is only going to work when you seek any type of FSBO, especially Zillow, when they're 100 days or more in the market, they are without a realtor and they have multiple price reductions. You will not get kicked out. They will start in negotiations, and this is where you negotiate. Guys, if you just took 200 leads like this and used my criteria, it's better than calling on 10,000 random FSBOs, especially with agents. Honestly, you'll have so much better success. Why? Because you are seeking opportunity. And if you don't seek opportunity, you're never going to get a great wholesale deal. That's just how this business works. It doesn't matter how many people you call, you're not going to get credit for it. Nobody cares. If you call better quality, you're better off than doing major quantity. If you get quality and you can put quantity on it, oh my God, amazing things can happen. So I would search for these types of online leads with that 3 criteria. You guys know exactly what they are. If not, replay this video because it will play back and go to all the different sites that you can get them and go direct to seller, 100+ days with multiple price reductions. Hit them at a 70% max, start at 50 to 60 and find out where they're going to counter you at. And guys, when you do it, remember how you said, I got to get back with my partner? This is where you're going to use the good cop, bad cop method. Once again, if you want to know how to do this in detail, I do this in freewholesaling.com. We do role plays, everything with you. But basically, say, listen, my partner, so if it was $100,000 and say I offered $60,000, my partner said, listen, we can offer $60,000. And when they were, $60,000 is crazy. I go, listen, my partner, he's a little crazy. That's why I'm talking to you. I'm on your side. Is there a number that we can actually find a way to make this deal work? So it sounds like you really want to sell it. We're ready to buy it, but I get 60 is not the number, but can you come back with a number that makes sense for you to get rid of this property? And that's it. Just blame your partner. Heck, blame Rick. I'm your partner. I'll be all day in this, all day, all long. Listen, if you buy it at the right price at the discounted number, you know that cash buyers list I told you to set in the beginning? This gets a lot easier because the reality is if you overpay for these properties, which is the #1 problem on Zillow FSBO leads, you guys overpay. You're so quick to get a yes because you're so nervous and you're so scared. And then you do all this work and 30 days later, you have nothing. And honestly, sometimes you get people threatening to sue you because you contracted them. You didn't get out of your inspection period. You owe it to yourself to use this technique to get the lowest price possible up front. Because if you do the hard work up front, wholesaling is much easier on the back end. If you like super easy, and you buy some sort of guru's coaching kit and they tell you how to search MLS and do all this crap like this. The reality is if you pull these types of lists with agents, you're going to be so frustrated and you're not going to make any money. And especially if you have no money or you gave your last money to the guru, if you did, go over to freewholesaling.com. We'll help you fix that. So guys, you've got to understand Zillow wholesaling deals seek opportunity. We don't just seek sellers. If you just seek sellers, you're just going to do busy work. You're not going to make any money and you're going to frustrate the crap out of yourself. And I'm here to tell you guys, this is true. This is the absolute truth. Honestly, I could sell you a course on this stuff, but why? Why not just trust me on the data? And here's how you trust me. You go out and you put this stuff into action. The reality is these leads are best meant for people that just have no money. They have no other options. I'm fine with it. Honestly, if you can learn to cut your teeth on these types of deals, can you imagine what you're going to do when you have money? And remember, wholesaling is a journey. When you go through that journey, your ups and downs, there is no shortcut. I don't care if you pay a guru 10 grand or I teach you it for free. You're all going to take the same ride. So many people think by paying people and doing like high-end leads that it's a shortcut. It's not. It's actually much more stressful. And honestly, I encourage you to go out and get deals with little to no money. Why? Because if you can cut your teeth on those, you'll understand the value of buying leads, and it's so much more powerful. And honestly, you'll find out if you're cut out for wholesaling. The problem with most of you who buy the gurus kits is you're vulnerable. You're looking for a quick fix. And the reality is there's no quick fix. You and only you have to do the work. You see, anybody can give you the information. The question is, you're going to do the work. So instead of having a 95% failure ratio on a average guru's course, why don't you just take my information for free at freewholesaling.com? I do this system completely backwards. If 100 people go to my course and 10 people knock it out of the park, I'm happy. That means the other 90 probably weren't going to put the work in, or maybe they didn't follow the instructions to the market. And I'm tired of every coach blaming the students. The reality is, we should stop selling this false promise. Listen, wholesaling is hard. I'm sorry. It is the damn truth. But the reality is, it is simple. Listen, why do you think like working out? It's so simple. You can get all the information free on the internet. Why do you think people don't do it? Because you have to be disciplined. And wholesaling is no different. Give me 10 people go to the gym. I'll probably find 1 or 2 that are serious about it. And you know what? The other 8, they just go around. You guys go to the gym. People are just looking at their cell phones the whole time, driving me nuts. I sometimes do it. I have to constantly correct myself. The reality is you should be listening to freewholesaling.com, working out your muscles, working out your mind. And the reality is, if you want to look busy and go to a gym, then do it. But you're not going to get anywhere. The people that actually put the work in and dedicate and take that 45 minutes to an hour, they get results. Wholesaling is no different. So I'm using this as an analogy. You don't have to be a gym rat to understand this. Honestly, you can work out in your own home with your own body weight, just off YouTube alone and just off the internet. Everything's there. The reality is, will people do it? And that's the difference. Is I'm not here to sell you a pipe dream. Honestly, I tell you the facts. Wholesaling's hard, but it's simple. If you truly want it, you have a strong belief, you have a conviction, go over to freewholesaling.com. I teach it in detail on how to do it. It is up to you if you want to make it work, guys. That is it. That is my technique for cold calling Zillows. And honestly, 25 grand is like a piece of cake. And if you take that data and you make that work, amazing things will happen in your life. So